What we made that.
Fine. So our topic, we have two topics. One, can we make Kiddush on whiskey? And one, we have to eat or have in the place of a Kiddush. But the topic of Kiddush on whiskey, the bottom line is you can do Kiddush on whiskey, but it's better to do it on grape juice or wine. That's the bottom line. You can do Kiddush on whiskey, it's better to do it on grape juice. But let's after say the bottom line, you can come down, you can have the whiskey. On Shabbat, let's go a bit into depth and see the reasoning of it. So I'll read from Siman Reish Ayin Bet, Saif Tet, read in Hebrew, translated, and then we'll go to a few topics we have here. Shulchan Aruch starts with the saying, in a place where wine isn't common. Today we have wine which is common. So some people hold you can do Kiddush on sheicha, which is beer or whiskey, except for wine. Some hold you can do Kiddush only on wine. If you remember, 2 weeks ago we learned that machloket, an argument, is Kiddush on whiskey on wine, at least in the nighttime, is a deoraita or the rabbanan. The Kiddush itself, we said, is deoraita on the nighttime. The Torah doesn't tell us how to do Kiddush. According to Rashi, Torah wants us to do Kiddush on wine. So deoraita Kiddush is on wine. And we debated how does Rashi learn it on Shabbat, we benefit from wine. But according to Rashi, wine is very, very important, at least in the nighttime. The Rosh here, the Shulchan Aruch brings him, has like a compromise. ולהראש בלילה לא יקדש על השיכר, אלא על הפת. ובבוקר יותר טוב לקדש על השיכר. So according to the Rosh, you don't have wine. On the night time, you should do Kiddush on bread. Bread is more important. Do Kiddush on bread. On the daytime, you should just do Kiddush on whiskey or beer or something like that.
Has to be a chashuv.
חשוב, has to be חשוב. We'll get to it in just a moment. What's חשוב? Coffee is coffee חשוב. Is Coke חשוב? The beginning says we'll get to it soon, but I said that it has to be something which is expensive. Coke wasn't so expensive. I went to the shop just a few days ago to buy Coke for some kids' event. So it's very expensive. So maybe not today you can say Kiddush on Coke. Anyway, so the Rosh continues. The nighttime we should do Kiddush on bread, not on whiskey, not on beer. We should do Kiddush on bread. It's more important. It's more part of the meal. When we get to the second topic of the class today of Kiddush Bimkom Seudah, we'll see that Kiddush is tied into the meal. So bread is obviously part of the meal. On the daytime, it says you should do Kiddush on whiskey or beer or whatever it is.
What about liqueurs? My wife likes amaretto for Kiddush.
Amaretto, so that could be also. We'll discuss soon. What's considered? What's considered?
As whiskey.
And it says שיברך עליו שהכל, קודם ברכת המוציא, on the daytime, and he explains the reason why on the daytime it's better to do on amaretto or whiskey or whatever it is, and not on bread. ואם יברך על הפת תחילה, אין כאן שום שינוי. That's the Rosh, and the Shulchan Aruch says, ודברי טעם הם. If you do Kiddush on bread on the daytime, there's no extra bracha. On the nighttime, we have a bracha. We have a Eicholim, which is psukim. We have a bracha. But so the nighttime, even if we do Kiddush on bread, so we're adding something special into here. On the daytime, we do say psukim, but it's more of a minhag. The main Kiddush on the daytime is saying hagafen. If I do Kiddush on bread and say hamotzi, it looks like just a regular meal. So in the daytime, we should do Kiddush on whiskey or whatever it is if we don't have wine.
Can you do it on whiskey even though you do have wine?
Here comes the question. The Shulchan Aruch starts, במקום שאין יין מצוי, in a place where wine isn't common. That's what the Shulchan Aruch starts, in a place where wine isn't common. Obviously, it brings to us a debate between the Achronim. What does it mean? Does it mean that also is there a difference between day and night? Okay. Does it mean that we should do Kiddush on wine and stick to wine and that's just wine? If there's no wine, so we can do it something else. Or that in those days, in the old time, wine used to be the common drink you drink in a meal. What happens today? Yeah, you drink. It's very hard to say what is a common drink today. Why some people drink wine, some people drink other things, coffee. It's very hard to say what's a common drink. Tea, Coke, okay, what juices. It's very hard to say what it is. So maybe today wine lost a bit of importance, and something else can be instead of wine. When I went to the States to visit before we went to Shlichut, so I brought an expensive bottle of wine. Like the evening, I brought it to the people who hosted me. And he said, well, okay, fine. He didn't drink the wine. And turns out that he's not a wine drinker. He doesn't understand in wine. For him, a cheap bottle or expensive bottle, it's the same thing. And I saw that many people were not wine, not drinkers, but didn't enjoy wine so much as they enjoy bourbon. You can see different places, people enjoy different things. So when the Shulchan Aruch said, what is it? Tennessee, that's Tennessee. Yeah, that's Tennessee.
It's a joke. Wait long enough, you'll get your wine bottle back in America.
People, no, it's starting to come in, but and then on the daytime, I did his mother.
Especially during Purim.
So anyway, so that's a question we have between the Achronim, between the rabbis, and the place of wine. For sure, for the nighttime, we could go towards wine. That's for sure. On the daytime, when we already said the daytime is rabbinical, and so there is a more place to be lenient about having something else which isn't wine. And it has to be, which is called Chamar Medina. And here comes the question: how do we define Chamar Medina? What is this thing called Chamar Medina? So I'll read for you the Mishnah Berurah. שמקדשים על שיכר, ודווקא במקום דהווי חמר מדינה. Okay, so something which is called Chamar Medina. What's Chamar Medina? Chamar is wine, Medina of this place. So that's the wine of that place. Important, maybe you can say, maybe alcoholic, because wine is alcoholic. That's the important thing of this place. דהיינו, why is it called חמר מדינה? שאין יין מצוי בכל העיר בשנה זו, ועיקר שתייתן ומי שאיחר, ושאר משקים. That year, there's no wine in this place, and they don't drink wine, and they just drink. On that year, they have beer or other things that they have. And you can see from the Mishnah Berurah, he said it also more later, that if you have wine, you should go to wine. If you have wine, you should go to wine. So for sure, for the Mishnah Berurah, we should lean towards wine. As I said, it's a machloket achronim, and there are quite a few rabbis that say that according to what's important. And if today wine isn't, especially the grape juice or have it just okay, just don't have it during the meal, and we want something which is out of the meal, so maybe whiskey could be more something which is important. So that's about what should we prefer. Okay, so we can see here we can do Kiddush on whiskey, but we're leaning towards it's better to do on wine. We can do, we lean towards better to do on wine. You can join us. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, we have the question: what is considered Chamar Medina? Okay, what's considered Chamar Medina? So we saw the Mishnah Berurah use the terms. The main thing we drink is from that thing. I think it's very hard to say what's the main thing we drink because we have so many things. Some drink only Diet Coke, some drink only apple juice. What is considered the main thing? The post can bring a few definitions. Maybe we can take all of them together, and then we can discuss. And there's whiskey falling into those definitions, and some of them are a bit contradicting each other. Some of them. First, wine used to be drunk as part of the meal. Part of the meal, you drink wine. Okay, also today, when you drink table wine, so it's called table wine because you have it at the table. So you have it as part of the meal. So something which is drunk as part of the meal.
It also used to be the main drink.
And the main drink.
It was the main drink. They didn't have water. Like
right.
Water to drink. It's certainly not sodas or juice.
Right.
It was wine.
Yeah, that's just wine. So the main drink. So today, obviously, it's a question because we don't have a main drink. The main drink. So, but
we have a variety of
right. So the main drink. Okay, so today you can say many things are considered the main drink. Yes, maybe you can give it go. It has to be something which wine, one of the things about it, it's important. It's important. It has a bracha on itself, even if I say hamotzi, I have once wine, the meal says a bracha on it. Obviously, beer isn't like that, but it has to be something which has some kind of importance in it. And maybe also, according to some poskim, one of the aspects of wine is that it has alcohol inside. It brings us a bit, lifts us a bit, okay? Makes us feel a bit better, depending how much we drink. But it's festive. It's festive. So according to that, you can maybe draw a few definitions, which can bring. I'm just summarizing them up. It needs to be something which you drink during a meal. Okay, it needs to be something which preferably alcoholic, and something maybe that you give to a guest as something which is an important drink. So, so we said here that whiskey maybe can answer those things. It has an alcohol inside it. Well, certainly offer it for a guest. And it's important. Okay, so for that. So whiskey beer, the same thing can be considered maybe Chamar Medina. What about coffee or tea? Can I do Kiddush on coffee or tea?
Not really, because it's not festive.
It's not festive.
alcoholic, it's not it's a main drink, but it's not drank at the right.
Yes, it is.
On one hand, look at the Shulchan Aruch.
You just done,
Yeah.
coffee or tea.
Yeah.
You maybe have it afterwards.
Yeah. Look at the Shulchan Aruch. I'll read it again. When there's no wine, I'm reading again what this wine. Some hold you can do Kiddush on shechar and other juices, other drinks besides water. So water you can do. It's just something very, very simple. What about coffee? Coffee is coffee considered like water or no? So that's a question. Well, for some people, coffee is like water.
A couple of cups of water, but have 10 cups
There's
of
coffee a day, yeah. And also coffee is made mainly from water. Right? Coffee is made mainly from water. Whiskey has a whole process about it, and it ferments, and maybe we have a question of charcoal. But we will have a question, why do we charcoal? Not mezonot, expensive. We give it because this is a regular drink. So we have here, also here we have a pocket an acronym. Is it considered like water or no? It's the Shulchan Aruch. He says that he first says we have to have something which is alcoholic, like wine. And so some also hold it's just water. It's just water with added flavors into it. Although there are poskim who say that you can use coffee or tea for Chamar Medina. Okay, so our poskim who say it. I think that's at least my svara is in the olden times, even if you go, I think 50 years ago, coffee was something important. It was something important, and what's the proof? I go to Chelek Aleph in the Shulchan Aruch about drinking before davening. So the Mishnah Berurah writes that drinking coffee, it's something which has gava, it's something which is important before davening. You shouldn't drink coffee before davening because it's starting the day with a serious drink. It's like, I don't know, having a bottle of whiskey before, a bottle of beer before going to daven. You're doing something important. Today, as you just mentioned, you just take water, a bit of powder, and even if you have a machine, it's like so much of a regular thing, which many are maker to have coffee before davening. That's, I think, a common minhag. You can't daven before you have coffee. Okay, you have to wake up, right? It's healthy to have coffee the first thing in the morning, but you can't daven beforehand. So you can see its own importance. So and that's proof you can have. That's the common minhag to have coffee before davening. Addicted. Yeah. Right. If it's so regular and common, so how can it be considered an important drink? That's about coffee. And so if we summarize it up, we should lean to wine. But when there's no wine, especially when today, when wine is less important and other things are considered more important, so there is more of a place to do Kiddush on the daytime, on other things besides wine. Okay, on the nighttime, we stick to the wine, especially when, two things especially according to Rashi, we need wine as the writer thing. According to the Rambam, it seems that you can't do Kiddush at all on Chamar Medina. Okay, we say the Mishnah says it's an argument. Can we do Kiddush on something else? So the Rosh has here some sort of compromise, but certainly on the nighttime we shouldn't do Kiddush on something else. If we don't have wine, we should do Kiddush on bread. And on the daytime, so it's better to use wine for a few more reasons we'll see soon. If we don't, or we enjoy more whiskey or enjoy more beer, so we can do Kiddush on something else. And we know it's a common minhag by many Hasidish to do Kiddush on whiskey. That brings us to another question. Yeah.
Do you need to review it?
Oh, that's the exact topic I was going to go into now. Do we need a revit? Do we need a revit? I think I told you last week of a friend of mine who, when we did the circles on Simchat Torah, decided to take a revit of a whiskey, and he did not continue dancing with us. Okay, so do we need a revit? So it's not a revit; it's a melon lugumav. Okay, it's a melon lugumav, and we saw already last week it's one. I just want to read it for you again. A cup kosher machzik revit, but what we need to drink is melon lugumav. Is a bit more than half of a revit. And the reason we saw it, or not just finding it, that melon lugumav, that's how we feel satisfied. Yeah, less than that, it's just peanuts on it. It's not so important. Obviously, today, when here, I'll read it in some words. So the Shulchan Aruch says we have to have a melon lugumav of wine. Tzarich lishtot mikos shekidush ki melon lugumav. And the Mishnah Berurah says, "Deva'inan shiur chashuv shetiteshev da'ato ha'edez." Read an important amount that a person feels satisfied by the melon lugumav. Obviously, by a whiskey, so there's not so much of a satisfying by having a melon lugumav. Especially on the first thing we do in the morning, we won't be able to listen safer than Torah. So many poskim say, at least in whiskey, things like that, it's heavy, like amaretto or other things. So melon lugumav, it's taken in proportion. So if you have half of a melon lugumav, that's your regular amount of drinking. So that's the melon lugumav for whiskey. And if you drink less, that's a melon lugumav for whiskey. The Mishnah Berurah doesn't seem to like it. Okay, so at least according to the Mishnah Berurah, we need a melon lugumav. Okay, so that's so see here an argument.
How much is melon lugumav compared to a shot glass?
Not sure. I've never measured the shot glass. Melon lugumav is a very individual measurement. It's about 40-50 cc's. Yes, I'm not sure how much a shot glass has. My guess is this has about 80. That's my guess. I'm not sure. Okay. That's much bigger. Yeah. Okay, now we saw last week an argument between, I think, brings. What happens if the person just wine, we're talking about wine. The person doing Kiddush had just a sip of wine, and all together they had melon lugumav. All of them together had melon lugumav. Is this good or no? So we saw an argument, and there is an opinion that we are making on them b'di'evet, that if the person doing Kiddush had just a bit, but all of them together had melon lugumav, so that is fine. So here, for example, you pour the whiskey before Kiddush. Everyone has a whiskey in front of them, and each one has a bit less than or a lot less than melon lugumav, but all together they have melon lugumav. So according to that Shita, it's also fine. If we want to join here two kulot, we make according to the Taz. We don't need to have melon lugumav and whiskey. It's enough to have the proportion that makes us satisfied. That's according to the Taz. And even if we don't go by the Taz, so we did see an opinion last week that we can be somewhere on the that if a few people together had melon lugumav, so it's fine. So it's fine. So we saw here two main topics of can we do Kiddush with something else besides wine? So we said, well, it's better wine, but we can. what is considered Chamar Medina? It's very hard to give a definition, but it seems like that whiskey and beer will be considered Chamar Medina. So that's fine with that. And the question of Kimlo Lugumav, we also said, okay, it's better to have Kimlo Lugumav, but we can also be makel in having less than Kimlo Lugumav. So here we get to the halacha, to a very, very common halacha that we do have, we do Kiddush on whiskey. That's a very, very common minhag from places that we do Kiddush on whiskey. I think I've seen people who are very didactic, very concerned about halacha, that they do Kiddush on wine and grape juice, and then they have the vodka or whiskey. Whatever it is, and that's, we said the reasons that it's a question, can we do Kiddush on Chamar Medina or something else? It's a machloket. And we have the questions also on of Kimlo Lugma, the amount we have to drink. So it's true that we can be makel, especially when Kiddush on the day is the Rabbanan. So certainly we can be makel. I have seen people who are makpid to do Kiddush on.
What do we say about Kiddush for women?
Kiddush for women, they're obligated like men. Yeah, Kiddush, yeah, because because Shamor and Zachor have a hekesh to each other. It's on the Shmot. I think the Shmot we have says Shamor, which is a lav. You have also Zachor, which is an aseh. So it's all between Shmot and Veit or Veit Hanan. And women are obligated in everything which is a lot aseh. And since the Hekesh, both of them were given in the same time, so women are obligated in all the aseh of Shabbat the same as men. And we say that women can be motzi men yedei chova in Kiddush. In Havdalah is something else. That's an argument. We'll get to it hopefully in a few weeks. But for showing Kiddush in the nighttime and on the day, women can be motzi the husband. I've seen many times. I'm not sure if we'll start our second topic of Kiddush in Kom Seudah today, but I've seen many times in Kiddushes, so women come and they'll ask the husband to do for them Kiddush. Okay, so that brings the question, why don't they do Kiddush for themselves? Okay, they can do Kiddush for themselves, and maybe it brings even more of a question. The husband, he was Yotze on Kiddush, right? So how can he do now Kiddush on wine when he was Yotze already? So he can do Kiddush for the woman, for his wife, because Arvut, the idea of we are all tied together, and we can do, even if I was Yotze in a mitzvah, I can be motzi someone else. Okay, so that's for Arvut. For Havdalah, there's a question about what happens if the husband was Yotze and his wife wasn't Yotze, because maybe she's not obligated. We'll get to it hopefully in a few weeks. So the husband can do Kiddush for his wife. Why don't women do Kiddush for themselves? It's a good question. I think some of them are shy. Some of them don't know it off by heart, of all the psukim. Prefer that the husband will do it for them. And we can see, since it's all the psukim we say before Kiddush is a minhag, so it's not necessary to say all the psukim. We can just say some of the psukim beforehand. As long as I've seen in some places they do, they start from Al-Ken. Okay, start from Al-Ken, they cut the Kiddush short, okay, they're very, very hungry, I guess, for Kiddush, they want to eat, so they start from Al-Ken, and that shouldn't be done. Why not? Cutting the pasuk. Okay, pasuk which Moshe Rabbeinu, which the Torah doesn't split to half, we don't split to half too. So starting from Al-Ken, we're taking a pasuk and starting from the middle. So we shouldn't start from Al-Ken. From Shamor, from Zachor, whatever, but not in the middle.
What about just saying the bracha?
We can say just the bracha too. Okay, we can just say the bracha too.
No, okay.
Without Al-Ken. Okay, we can say the bracha too without
That's
Al-Ken.
okay.
The main part of Kiddush of the day, and maybe next week we'll discuss about Kiddush in Kom Seudah. What does it mean, Kiddush in Kom Seudah? Or just be maybe a question for thinking about. Kiddush in Kom Seudah means that we'll discuss it next week. Does it mean that Kiddush is important? And to make Kiddush important, we want to eat with Kiddush to make Kiddush important. Or no, the meal of Shabbos is important. make the meal on Shabbos even more important, we have wine with it. Okay, there's two different approaches, two different reasons brought in the Rishonim, in Tachim and other places. So two different approaches, but the main thing of the daytime, for sure, is just having the wine. Just having the wine and saying Hagafen. That's why there's no blessing. Yeah, so that's the main part of Kiddush. So if someone doesn't know all of the Sukkim, he takes a cup of wine and says Hagafen, and that's it. We do have a minhag, different minhagim of what do we say, which means for Elim, and the Sukkim Yeshayahu, which are tied to Kiddush of Shabbat, Imtashim Shabbat Raglecha, and other Sukkim of Shabbat. But the main part of Kiddush in the daytime is the bracha. And if you want to end with something we started, the Rosh said on the nighttime, I don't have on the nighttime wine. What do I do Kiddush on? Bread, right? Because there's a bracha on the bread, there's a bracha on the Kiddush, so we can see something special. On the daytime, if I don't have wine, what do I do Kiddush on? Medina and the whiskey, right? And the whiskey. Or with beer, whatever it is, Medina. Why? Because if I say Kiddush on bread, there's nothing special here. Now you can ask, what do you mean there's nothing special here? We say so many psukim beforehand, so we can, it is Kiddush. Instead of saying Hagafen, I say Hamotzi. So there is something special. We have all of the psukim. And the answer is simple. The main part of Kiddush of the daytime is not the psukim, it's the bracha of Hagafen. The psukim is a minhag. Okay, so say psukim. Okay, but the main part is Hagafen. So if there's no some special drink, or no, there's nothing special, that ties up. Next week we'll do the second half of Kiddush B'Kom Seudah. So I guess today we bought Kiddush of whiskey. We bought whiskey. Maybe for next week we have to bring Seudah.
Okay, we don't have your whiskey next week. Can you take our orders?
Okay, take it over. Yeah.
Scott.
Okay, so good evening.
We have some in the. We saved this week.